Welcome to Registered, the official podcast of the Catholic Register, where we'll be taking a look beyond the headlines of the stories that graced all of our platforms this past week. I'm Associate Editor Quinton Amundson, and this week's episode is brought to you by Missions and Martyrs, the Catholic Register's magazine celebrating 100 years of the Martyrs Shrine in Midland, Ontario. Go to catholicregister.org/shrine100 or call 1-855-441-4077 extension 1 to order your copy today. Our editor Mickey Conlon and reporter Luke Mandato are enjoying some time off, but I'm delighted to present a special edition of Registered. My guest today is Dennis Girard, a co-founder of the Marian Devotional Movement with his wife Angelina, and a key collaborator in Jubilee 33. Welcome to you, Dennis, and I'm just going to leave it to you. What do you think that Catholics in Canada and around the world should know about Jubilee 33?
Well, first of all, great to be with you, Quinton, and thank you for this opportunity to share with our wonderful Catholic brothers and sisters here in Canada and beyond, of course, through the world of the internet. So Jubilee 33 is an amazing journey that we all get to participate in joining. And I find it remarkable that it would appear that Our Lady has decided that Ottawa, Canada, is the place to jumpstart this. Now, it makes sense in retrospect because, of course, in 1947, there was a historic Marian Congress that was held here in the nation's capital just 2 years after World War II. And of course, many nations came to pray for peace. And above all, our country was consecrated to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. So Jubilee 33 is an opportunity for Catholics to come to Ottawa. We will be hosting this on the same historic grounds. Back then it was called Lansdowne Park. Now it's TD Place. So full-fledged stadium with Jumbotron and all the bells and whistles that you get in stadiums these days. And it'll be an opportunity for all of us to be a visible reflection of how we are called to be one faith, one family. You know, our Lord talked about that at length in his prayer at the end, where in John 17, where he says that they may all be one. So PAC 27, the Marian Congress in Ottawa, is certainly ordered towards that. And this really gives folks an opportunity to come into an area that's going to be transformed into a sacred place for 4 days, as it was for 5 days back in 1947, and jumpstart their Jubilee 33 journey and all that God would have for them.
You have tens of thousands of Catholics coming together. It's going to be very unique, but you have an idea of the special environment that could possibly be created here because you got to attend almost exactly 2 years ago the National Eucharistic Congress in Indianapolis, Indiana. And you just said something very striking about how you felt that the whole world was Catholic, the way that the passion was so evident. How do you hope that PAC 27 could, maybe replicate what was really special about Indiana, but is also distinctive in its own thing at the same time?
It's a great question, Quinton. Yes, we had the opportunity to bring Canada's National Marian Madonna, Our Lady of the Cape, on pilgrimage through the U.S. to Indianapolis. And she was actually located where the Sacrament of Reconciliation took place for the whole time. And as I did mention to you before, it truly felt like the whole world was Catholic, which was a slice of heaven on earth. I would say what we learned from it was that when you bring that many brothers and sisters together, the Holy Spirit comes in power and does things that are far beyond what we might be able to dream or imagine. And of course, the things that take place go beyond the event themselves. They ripple on for for generations. Just think about the 1947 Congress. We're still talking about it today. So certainly Indianapolis was a picture of that for us. And it gave us great hope that as we hold this particular Congress, this Marian Congress in Ottawa, that we can expect more of the same. And in our case, because this mission is bringing the world to Jesus through Mary, we will have a particular emphasis on our Blessed Mother and her story, and how she is always inviting us to meet her son, and always inviting us to be able to participate in the plan that God has for each and every one of us. So in a sense, there will be that distinctive nature to it. We will be repeating our Rosary Bowl that took place in 2019. We did hold a Rosary Bowl in 2019 at the stadium. This one will be much larger, so that'll be another distinctive feature.
Well, you mentioned Our Lady of the Cape, so we have to get to the really cool news here that you discovered that our current Pope Leo has a wonderful ancestral connection to Canada's oldest Marian Shrine. I mean, he's had such a very rich and well-documented ancestral connections all over the world, but the fact that he has a connection to the famous Boucher family, Pierre Boucher, governor of Trois-Rivières, and who was very involved in constructing the first wooden chapel in the area. You told me this scoop, and we just had to make it our cover story. We rushed to get the
Yes.
good news from you. So, how did you uncover this really cool story, Dennis?
Well, it's quite interesting because, as you may remember, we were in Rome last year at the Pontifical University of the Holy Cross announcing the whole Jubilee33 journey and Pact 27 Marian Congress and so on and so forth. It happened to be the exact same week that Pope Leo was doing his first Angelus. We think that's providential. And of course, our journey has been going on for 10 years, and it's well documented through the Catholic Register. And what was interesting is we have this sense that, isn't that amazing that our Blessed Mother now brings us a Holy Father to our advantage, that there's a connection now with the Vicar of Christ. So how it happened was, people, of course, when you have a new Pope, they look at things like their genealogies. And I had heard, that he had some sort of French ancestral heritage. And I know people in Chicago were making, of course, a big deal of the fact he's American, he's from Chicago. And I said, well, let me see if I can discover what the roots are just as it relates to Quebec. And because so many people had done this kind of work, they traced it back to the Boucher family. Now, of course, for most people, that would mean nothing, the Boucher family. Oh, well, that's nice, the Boucher family in Quebec, and it would end there. But of course, for those of us who know the story of Our Lady of the Cape, it was incredible to see this genealogy online where they use the exact same picture of Governor Pierre Boucher that we use in our movie Bridge of Roses. So my jaw dropped. I said, "Oh my goodness, he's a descendant of the Boucher family." And of course, the Shrine of Our Lady of the Cape is all about the Holy Rosary. And Our Lady, of course, told St. Dominic, "I'm going to save the world through the Rosary, through the scapular." So obviously the Rosary is incredibly important. So it is no coincidence, we believe, that in this day, our Holy Father is connected to this amazing story.
And it's very important that you yourself are connected to the Boucher family. Is that right?
Yes, and that was again another surprise discovery. We had no idea. For your listeners who would not know, I mean, my wife Angelina in 2013 was given a statue of Our Lady of the Cape, 18 inches. We had no idea it was Our Lady of the Cape because we didn't know who Our Lady of the Cape was. Of course, we discovered that. We start going up to the shrine, and we decided to make Our Lady of the Cape and her story a very important part of our lives, to promote the fact that, wow, Canada has a national Madonna. She's Our Lady of the Cape, Notre Dame de Cap, Queen of the Most Holy Rosary, very important devotion. And through this journey, I happened to discover that my great grandfather was born 1 month after the miracle of the ice bridge in Trois-Rivières. And because he was an author from Quebec, somebody had done an actual PhD book on him as he was the subject of their thesis. So it gave the genealogy right back to the Boucher family. So of course, after I discovered that, I went, oh my goodness. So you can just start to see where, as St. Paul says, he talks about the fact that there are works prepared in advance for us to do if we'd only kind of stay still and listen to what those might be. And Angelina and I, many, many years ago, decided to take the approach, oh, let's just be people that dig in the mud like Saint Bernadette was asked to do at Lourdes. Let's not get ahead of our Lord. Let's not get ahead of Our Lady. Let's just dig in the mud. So we've adopted this philosophy. It's hard sometimes because you want to plan ahead, but we're trying to be obedient to that. And through that determined and intentional way of living, these types of things just start to become revealed as you move forward, like my ancestry. And now, of course, not my ancestry, but who I descend from, and just the same as Pope Leo. So it's quite remarkable that today's Holy Father and, of course, the director of the Marian Devotional Movement, and we're so linked in this whole idea of unity, because that's very much a part of what we do as this work is to bring unity to the church.
And one thing we should also mention about Pierre Boucher also did several years of work with the Jesuits, and he did that as a teenager. So a very remarkable servant. He also served as a soldier, translator, went on for 2 terms as governor of Trois-Rivières, very talented at construction, quite remarkable, who are Holy Father, and who you are also descended with, the Boucher family. So, Dennis, now that you've been able to, like you said, you've done this digging in the mud, you found this wonderful revelation. Like, what do you hope you could do with it? And how do you hope that Pope Leo could eventually come to acknowledge his own ancestral link to Canada?
Well, it's an interesting question. Of course, we continue to follow the philosophy of digging in the mud. So for me, what that's meant personally is I've written a letter to him because some of the people that are collaborating with us work directly with the Holy Father. That's the Journey to Redemption. Bishop Miquel from Spain and Fernando Moscardo from Spain. So I've given them my own personal letter to hand to Pope Leo, whether that happens or has happened. I believe it may have happened. And really, I didn't ask him for anything other than his prayerful discernment. I just wanted it to be on his radar. Holy Father, isn't this amazing? You descend from this story. It's probably a story I'd love you to know about. And of course, we've done the Bridge of Roses movie on it. So hopefully he will discover it, learn about it, and Our Lady, I'm sure, is going to direct him very intentionally on what those next steps might be. So I'll leave it up to her and, and our Holy Father to figure that out.
Well, that would be absolutely fantastic. And I hope that it works out that he could perhaps send some sort of a video message or want to participate in Pack 27 in a meaningful way. But like you said, it's all up to God and Our Lady's plan for sure. And you just mentioned a little bit earlier the miracle of the ice bridge. I mean, even before this link to Pope Leo was discovered, there was already so much wonder and the cool factor associated with Our Lady of the Cape already, and so many miracles. But I would say the centerpiece is this incredible miracle of the ice bridge in 1879. I mean, I could share it with the audience, but I don't think I'd be able to do it justice. So, Dennis, why don't you tell our listeners here today on Registered about the miracle of the ice bridge, please?
Certainly, we'll do the abridged version and let your listeners know that the 8th chapter, I did an audio book on it, and we have the movie, of course, so people can certainly get the longer story. But just in a nutshell, the reason why there needed to be a miracle of the ice bridge was they needed a bigger church. And the background to that is that in 1867, Father Luc de Sillé, after asking his parishioners at Trois-Rivières to come and receive the sacrament of reconciliation, not one person came. He was disappointed. He went into the stone chapel, and to his horror, he discovered a pig chewing on a rosary, an actual swine chewing on a rosary. That's why we call it the story from the swine to the shrine, because he made a vow, and his vow is what transformed this dead and dying parish into what would become Canada's National Marian Shrine. Two canonical crownings, miracle of the ice bridge, Our Lady actually coming alive in the statue in 1888 when it became a shrine, and so many favors and miracles, as you mentioned. So what happened was, once he made this vow, and that vow was to begin enrolling people in the confraternity of the Most Holy Rosary, which in layman's terms is like the greatest rosary club on planet Earth. You know, it has the blessings of the Pope and Rome, and it just unleashes a torrent of grace. So all these graces started taking place when he began to do this work. It led to the church being much too small, which led to this place in 1879 where they had stones to build a bigger church. They were on the other side of the river. They were going to bring them over through the winter, as was the norm for the river freezing. So you'd be able to do that. Of course, providentially, we would say the river did not freeze over, which meant they needed to pray for a miracle of an ice bridge. So he made another vow. His vow was, "Oh, Blessed Mother, if you grant me the miracle of an ice bridge, I will not tear down this stone chapel to build another church, but rather I will dedicate it to you under the name of Our Lady of the Rosary, and we'll kind of build the church next door." And lo and behold, on the vigil of St. Joseph, ice flows break off and form a bridge across the St. Lawrence. Now, what's really amazing about the story is the bridge wasn't completely done. It still required men to go out, fortify it, get it strong so you could bring all the stones across. And that's a message for us. You know, I mean, when we get some of these miracles happening, it still means we need to pray and we need to do our part. So that is a message for us today. But miraculously, all these stones were able to be brought across, and that just brought boatloads of people, literally, to the Cape to see the stones even sitting on the side of the rivers they were building. And then the favors started taking place. And then finally in 1888, it was dedicated to the shrine of Our Lady. The shrine was dedicated as a shrine, I should say, the church, to Our Lady of the Rosary. And it was on that beautiful June 22nd, 1888, where Our Lady inhabited the actual miraculous statue. And Blessed Frederick, hopefully Saint Frederick soon, someday, was in attendance along with Father Luc and Pierre Delacroix. Just an incredible story. And it is well documented in our Bridge of Roses movie, including the animation of the statue of Our Lady of the Cape.
I would highly recommend to all our listeners to, really seek out the Bridge of Roses documentary, because that was a very rich collaboration with, another one of our favorite guests alongside you, Kevin Dunn, one of maybe Canada's greatest Catholic filmmaker in terms of the footprint that he's done. And we mentioned the missions and martyrs early on. He is going to be doing a documentary really telling the authoritative story about the early Jesuit missionaries and the way that they worked with the Wendat. So he has really done a terrific thing. I've seen Bridge of Roses several times, a lot of beautiful recreations, bringing the miracle of the ice bridge and other key miracles that you just mentioned to life. So definitely seek out that project for sure. So I want to, of course, circle back to the Jubilee 33 journey because you're just really beginning this process, and we're still quite a bit of ways from September 2027. But Am I right, Dennis, that people could participate in the Jubilee 33 journey right now through the KeySeek app? Is that right?
Correct. These days, of course, you have to think, how do we promote a message like the Pac 27 Marian Congress in multiple languages and give everybody the opportunity to be part of this experience? And we thought the simplest way to do that would be through an event app. And we thought secondarily, oh, it would be neat if we had a bit of gamification. So we added a Catholic trivia component. And it's quite remarkable because we just had a press release, oh, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. And many, many people now are downloading the app, playing KeySeek, and learning about their faith. But also, they are having the opportunity in, we have 16 languages available. So you can register in one of 16 languages. And through that, it's the communication vehicle for the Pac 27 Marian Congress, so people can make their plans. Tickets will go on sale this September, so in about a month and a half, and through Ticketmaster, because that's who TD Place uses. But we're working on just kind of a direct link through our app, through the KeySeek app. And that'll make it simple for people to begin to make plans, know what's going on, and to participate. So they can participate in what we would call the run up to something quite remarkable that will take place in advance of Pac 27 next year. And it kind of reminds me, as I'm just speaking with you now, the run up to the Marian Congress in 1947 was this 40-day procession of Our Lady of the Cape from Trois-Rivières to Ottawa, and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, actually, now that I think about it, were able to venerate her. So we're doing something a little bit different. We are actually launching a World Chalice of Faith competition through the KeySeek app. And it goes from July 13th, that's intentional because that, of course, is an apparition date of Our Lady of Fatima, ends on the 21st of August, which is the vigil of the Queenship of Mary, and on the 22nd, we will make the announcement. So Timothy Schmaltz, well-known sculptor from Ontario, has created this incredible chalice. And if you go to keyseek.org, you'll see a picture of him working on it. And this chalice is going to be what people are going to be competing for to come to their pan group of countries. And what I mean by that is we've divided the world into 5 regions that basically would have 250 million plus Catholics per region. So Pan American North, Pan American South, Pan Europe, and so on. And the idea is that for 40 days, not only are you playing KeySeek individually, so learning about your faith, but you're also gaining points for your particular region to hopefully have the chalice come and travel for 1 year throughout your territory. And it's going to get even, it'll drill down to even a diocesan level because there's only 50 weeks in a year, 52 weeks, but 50 weeks that it'll travel. So through those 50 weeks, it'll be the top 50 dioceses that will receive this opportunity to have an event with the chalice, with their bishop in a particular shrine or cathedral. And you can just well imagine, because the whole idea here is instead of young boys wanting to be soccer stars and be part of the World Cup of Faith, or World Cup, not that there's anything wrong with that, of course, that some of them will say, wow, I think I have a vocation to the priesthood, because we're going to have this beautiful opportunity to have these little short clips of bishops elevating the world chalice of faith in these various shrines and cathedrals and be posted. So you'll be able to follow the chalice. And this will be a yearly event. So it'll journey with us all the way through Pac 27, all the way to 2033 in Rome.
And that's the remarkable thing. And I know that there will also be a gathering, a U.S. Gathering in 2030, I believe, equivalent to Pac 27, and then 2033, the 2000th anniversary since Jesus Christ defeated death and resurrected, securing salvation for all who deem him the way, the truth, and the life. And Dennis, thank you so much for making time for registered today. And we really encourage all of you to participate in the journey to Pac 27 and Jubilee 33 through the KeySeek app and also Jubilee33.org. And please visit the Catholic Register, especially this week, because our cover story is Pope Leo and the Lady of the Cape. And our episode is brought to you by Missions and Martyrs, the Catholic Register's new magazine celebrating 100 years of the Martyrs Shrine in Midland, Ontario. Go to catholicregister.org/shrine100 and call 1-855-441-4077 extension 1 to order your copy today. Thanks again to Dennis and to all our loyal listeners. Enjoy the rest of your week. So long for now.